Fox's Empire was one of the smashes of this past TV season. A combination of Dynasty and King Lear set in the hip-hop world, the first season had one jaw-dropping moment after another, not to mention a show-stopping performance from Taraji P. Henson. In addition to its contemporary beats, Empire has a sweeping orchestral score by Fil Eisler. Phil joined Steve Chagollan in the Variety newsroom to talk about how it all comes together.
Now, it was said that the show's producers, Lee Daniels and Danny Strong, they wanted something orchestral, even operatic.
Honestly, there was a very strong vision from both of them, and you know, in particular, Lee wanted something that really juxtaposed the hip-hop element of the show. He really kind of wanted something that was much more like a movie soundtrack, bold and operatic. You know, there's a lot of underscore in a very old, sort of almost gangster movie sense.
There's an almost anticipatory quality to the music, as if we're kind of waiting for the next crisis to explode. And you also kind of have these kind of sudden stops.
And we have fun with that. You know, there's a camp value to it. You have these sort of Bernard Hermony major minor seventh chords that just sort of, you know, build you into the next Chevy commercial or whatever it's going to be.
Now, the prevailing notion, I think, is that composers and music supervisors work independently of each other, or in this case, it would be the executive music producer.
Well, certainly not with this show. I mean, with this show, it has to be hand in glove because a lot of the score will come in to a song, come out of a song. But the other thing is that it's so music heavy, not just from what Tim does and what Jim Beans does, but they also license a ton of music. So there's a lot of moving parts, you know, plus there's on-camera performances, all of this stuff that we have to kind of put together ahead of time. So I probably have a closer relationship with the music department at Fox and with the music supervisor on this show than any other.
Do you write themes or cues for each of the principal characters, even if they're not used on the show?
No, I mean, I do, but I always think the notion of character themes just for that character is a little inflexible. For me, it usually starts with a show theme. There is a main theme that sort of everything tends to stem from. And then they just kind of grow out from there, you know? There's definitely the live element of this that's important, and the fact that it's not, you know, in the box samples, pretend orchestra, which is, you know, something you hear on TV a lot, and I always think it's such a shame when people do that, because if you're not trying to do an orchestral score, fine, right? But if you're really, if that's what you're doing, there's no reason not to use a live orchestra. It's really not as expensive as people think.
Now you're using a 50-piece orchestra.
On the bigger episodes, yeah. Okay. On the smaller ones, it's closer to 30. It always happens like this with a show, you know, they start off with a little concept, like, we'll use a little chamber orchestra and it'll be great. And then suddenly things are exploding and people are killing each other and people are falling off buildings. And I'm sitting there going, that's gonna be tricky, guys. So they grow now and then, but we had some more complicated pieces of music to pull off. Like there's an entire sequence where, you know, Bunky's ghost, or not, comes back. And that's the other funny thing about it. That's the kind of piece that would be very hard to do a synth mock-up of, because you've got the orchestra doing all these very sort of atonal, almost sort of modern concert music gestures that are pretty hard to do with a synth in any kind of meaningful way. So luckily the producers have trusted me enough to say, all right, this is what it's going to sound like on the scoring stage, and I can actually stand up in front of the orchestra and change it there. So that's one of the other beauties of having, you know, real humans playing music.
Now, is there anything you can say about season 2 that won't get you into trouble?
I don't really know what's going to happen story-wise, and in a way I prefer to keep it that way, because first of all, you know, I can't give anything up if I'm interrogated like now, and second of all, I actually sort of like to score the show as a fan, because I genuinely am. When we go to spotting sessions, especially with Lee, who's so much fun to watch this stuff with, you know, we're squealing like fans when we watch, like, Cookie does something and we're on the floor laughing, you know. So I prefer to score the show like that in a way and watch it as a fan, and it inspires me to think, what should the music be doing here?